Hello and welcome back to another one of my YouTube videos. Today we are going to be talking about the NFC South Division standings and how I feel about the Bucks, the Saints, the Panthers, and Falcons. A couple days ago we talked about the AFC South, so I'm just kind of going in between each conference, like once we go from one West Division, let's say, to the opposite West Division from the AFC to the NFC. So that's how I plan on doing things for the rest of the off season. So today we're gonna be. I already told you we're talking about the NFC South. So we're gonna do what we did a couple days ago. What we did with the AFC South. We're gonna talk about how many primetime games they have, how many wins I think they're gonna get, their records, and then at the end we're gonna talk about division standings. So we're gonna start with the New Orleans Saints, who I think are gonna be one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL this year. They have no primetime games, and I only see them beating maybe Carolina once. It's like if Bryce Young, like he doesn't even have to play that good. He just has to play mediocre at best, honestly. And I think they're also going to beat the Giants because it's at home. They're not going to go 0-17. I just don't see that happening. And it's the Giants. We don't know how they're going to play it. We don't know like their full quarterback situation at that point in the year. So I don't think they're going to be playing that well. I see only 1 or 2 wins at the most for this team. Their quarterback situation isn't that good. They only have Alvin Kamara, Cam Jordan, who's aging, Demario Davis, who's aging, Chris Olave. I just don't see them having enough depth to really make a good run this year. I think that they have a long rebuild upcoming. Next team I want to talk about is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is coming off in a 4th straight NFC South Division title and lost such a nail biter to Washington in the wild card game last year, who they could have won, but that fumble between Baker Mayfield and Jalen McMillan, I believe, really, really hurt them in the 4th quarter. But they have 4 primetime games this year. They have 3 on the road and 1 at home. Their first 3 are all on the road. They have a Week 2 matchup, Monday Night Football at Houston, Sunday Night Football at Detroit, Week 7. Or excuse me, no, Monday night. That's a Monday Night Football game. Sunday Night Football against the Rams, Week 12. And then they end it with Thursday Night Football against Atlanta, Week 15. Who, the Bucks, I think that they literally upgraded their receiving core this year when you don't think it can get really any better. They drafted that early. Good receivers, also talked about having a really good training camp so far. They already have Chris Godwin. They have Mike Evans. They have Jalen McMillan. And they also have Trey Palmer. I don't think is that bad, but he wasn't used that much last year. But I think they're going to end up beating Atlanta. They're going to beat the Jets. They're going to beat San Francisco. They're going to beat Detroit on Monday night because they really do handle Detroit really well, and they beat them last year. But a healthy Buccaneers team can really beat anybody, and I think that they'll beat Detroit in primetime. I think they'll beat New Orleans. They'll sweep New Orleans. They'll beat the Patriots. They'll beat the Panthers once. I actually do think that the Panthers are going to upset them once this year. And they'll also beat Miami. And again, they'll sweep Atlanta. That is a record of 10-7. And I think that they're going to repeat as NFC South champions. I don't think that anyone's going to overtake them quite yet. I really like Baker Mayfield. I mean, they really have it all going. The only thing that Baker Mayfield has to stop is turning the ball over so much because he, I believe, tied the league with Kirk Cousins in turnovers last year. And if he can stop turning the ball over as much as they did last year, that could be a 12-13 win football team. Like, they could be a really, really scary and good team going into the postseason. But I think that they top out at 10 wins. The next team I want to talk about is the Atlanta Falcons, who they actually surprisingly have 5 primetime games. I didn't know that until I looked it up yesterday. So they have 2 Sunday Night Football games, 1 Week 2 against Minnesota, and 1 Week 7 at San Francisco. The one is in Minnesota too. And then they have 2 Monday Night Football games, one against the Buffalo Bills, Week 6, and then one against the Rams, Week 17 at home. And then they also have a Thursday Night Football game at Tampa Bay, Week 15, which we already discussed. So I think that a lot of this is going to come down to Michael Penix and their coach. And I don't like their coach. I don't think he's that good of a coach. He's good. He's okay defensively minded. But he couldn't do well with Kirk Cousins well last year. I know Kirk Cousins is out of his prime. He's not what he once was, but he didn't make him that good. And Michael Penix, he was pretty good to end the year. But I don't see them doing amazing if they can't fix the coaching or Michael Penix isn't good. If Michael Penix isn't good, then I don't see them doing more than maybe 6 to 7 wins. I think that roster is good, but it's not going to carry them as much as it would for maybe the Bucks. But we'll see. I think that they'll end up beating Carolina week 1. They'll beat Minnesota week 2 in Minnesota. That's a tough game, but I think because J.J. McCarthy is only playing his second career game, in his first home game, he's going to be nervous, and he's going to have to build up more confidence, and it's only week 2. So I think Atlanta's going to pull with that one. They're going to beat Miami. They're going to beat Indianapolis. They're going to sweep the Saints. They're going to beat the Jets, and I think they're going to beat the Rams on primetime week 17, only because they're at home for that game. I like the Rams. I just feel like the Falcons will handle business at that point. They win 8 games, so they have a record of 8-9, which is pretty. I think this is exactly what they had last year, 8-9. So they're not doing any better than what they did, but they're not doing any worse. They just gotta get a better. I think they gotta get a better coach is what they need. They have really good weapons on offense. They have Drake London, they have Bijan Robinson, and they have Kyle Pitts if he ever decides to show up. They have a great defense. I mean, they have Jesse Bates. They are built to win. I just think coaching is the big thing that's going to hold them back this year. So I have Atlanta finishing out at 8-9 again in 2025. So the last team in the division I want to talk about are the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers have one primetime game this year, and that is Monday Night Football at San Francisco Week 12, which not easy as long as San Francisco is healthy with Brock Purdy and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and everyone else like that, like Christian McCaffrey too. But I think that they're going to be better than what they were last year. They had a 5-12 record last year. I think that they'll have a better record this year. I really like Bryce Young. I think he'll keep improving what he did at the end of last year. I like their young receiving core besides Adam Thielen. Like, they have depth. We just got to see how good they really are, because I know they drafted that really good rookie in the first round. They have Xavier Leggett already. Adam Thielen already too. Jalen Coker. Chuba Hubbard really turned it on him last year. He was super good. He was really, really good. But I think that they'll lose to Jacksonville. It's in Jacksonville. I think that the Jags are going to come away with that one. I think they'll beat Arizona week 2. They'll lose to Atlanta and New England. Again, they're going to beat Miami. They're going to beat the Jets. They're going to, for some reason, I think they're going to beat the Bills. It's in Carolina. I just, for some reason, really like the Panthers' odds in that game. Don't know why, but I do. So I think they're going to end up beating Atlanta. They're going to beat New Orleans once. They're the one team in the division that I think New Orleans will beat once. And then they'll also beat Tampa Bay week 16 until they lose to Tampa Bay week 18. So that's going to give them a record of 7-10, which is 2 games better than last year. I really like the direction that they're going. They have a young team. I like their coach. I think that they have a little bit more to go. I think they have a little bit more developing with Bryce Young to go. But if he develops into the number 1 overall pick that he was, this team can be a playoff contender for many years. So, yeah, that's how I currently feel about the Carolina Panthers. And then finally, the final overall standings has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 10-7, repeating as NFC South champions for, I believe, like the 5th year in a row. The Falcons come in at 2nd place at 8-9. The Panthers come 3rd at 7-10, and the Saints come in dead last at 2-15. So that's how I currently feel about the NFC South, and I think that things will play out next year. Thank you all for watching. Again, if you made it to the end, I plan to post as much as I can. I want to post as frequently as possible. But until then, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Go Bills, and go on for whoever team you're rooting for.